My parents shouted, "Stop dreaming foolish dreams." I was 16, clutching a sketchbook of dress designs, my heart racing with hope. But their words cut deep, dismissing my passion as nothing more than a childish whim. I'm Paige Cole, 34, a fashion designer from Wichita, Kansas. My family never believed in me. My sister was always the star, the one celebrated while I was overlooked. I poured my soul into design, building a brand from nothing. But when I won school awards, graduated college, even walked down the aisle in my wedding dress, they stayed silent. No calls, no visits, no recognition. I stood alone that day, my heart breaking in silence. Years later, I signed a life-changing contract with a major fashion brand. I posted about it online without expecting much. Then the phone rang. My sister, after years of silence, demanded a family meeting. Her voice was sharp, entitled, like my success belonged to her. I agreed, my hands trembling as I set down the contract. Someone from that house stared at me, sneered, and said, "One day, you'll pay the price." That moment lit a fire inside me, a resolve to finally face the truth. What happened next changed everything. Have you ever had a dream your family tried to crush, or felt invisible while someone else got all the praise? Share your story in the comments, hit like, and subscribe to join me on this journey. Let's talk about what it means to rise above. Growing up in our Wichita home, I learned early that I was invisible. My family revolved around my sister Brittany Ross, the golden child, whose every triumph commanded our parents' world. With her sharp mind and relentless drive, she seemed destined for greatness in medicine, her path lit by science fairs and flawless grades. My father, Thomas Cole, a reserved accountant, viewed her as his legacy, his pride clear in every approving glance at her report cards. My mother, Nancy Cole, a meticulous schoolteacher, celebrated Brittany, endlessly covering our living room walls with her awards. I was Paige, the younger daughter, trailing behind with sketches and dreams brushed aside as childish whims. In that household, Brittany's achievements were events, mine barely registered. I remember my 16th birthday when I longed for recognition. I had spent weeks designing a dress, stitching it by hand, hoping for a moment of pride. Instead, the day was eclipsed by Brittany's acceptance into a prestigious summer program. My mom rushed to plan a dinner for her, while my dad barely looked at the cake I'd chosen. "Nice dress," he muttered, already turning back to praise my sister's news. The untouched cake mirrored the hollow in my chest. School gave me little refuge. I entered a design contest, pouring myself into a jacket that felt like part of my soul. Nights blurred together as I perfected every seam, desperate for their notice. The event brought applause from classmates, but the seats I'd saved for my family remained empty. They were at Brittany's debate tournament, cheering her victory. Afterward, my teacher, Ms. Harper, pulled me aside. "You've got something special, Paige," she said gently, her words a lifeline in the silence. Still, the absence of my parents burned deeper than any applause. At home, Brittany's trophies filled the shelves, her name echoing in every conversation. My dad would recount her latest speech, his eyes glowing while my mom mapped out her college applications. My drawings tucked in my bedroom corner were never mentioned. Once, I overheard my mother boasting on the phone about her star daughter. "Paige. She's just artsy," she said dismissively. I swallowed the sting, channeling the pain into my sketches, each one a quiet act of defiance. Through those years, I clung to creativity. I spent hours sketching, building worlds of color and fabric where I mattered. Brittany's shadow stretched long, her successes a standard I could never match. Yet in the solitude of my sketchbook, I found sparks of rebellion that kept me alive. I didn't realize then that those drawings would become my escape and my future. All I knew was that I had to keep creating even if no one else noticed. Finding my passion for design was like uncovering a hidden spark. At our Wichita high school, I stumbled into an art class led by Ms. Scott, a vibrant teacher with a sharp eye for creativity. She noticed what my family never did. Hovering by my desk, she praised the boldness in my sketches, her voice warm with encouragement. "You've got something special, Paige," she'd say, words that soothed the indifference waiting at home. Her classroom became my refuge. I spent hours experimenting with fabrics, sketching outfits that felt like extensions of myself. She pushed me to explore color and texture, urging me beyond the page. When she suggested a local design competition, I hesitated, doubting my work would stand out. Still, her confidence carried me through, and I created a flowing dress with intricate stitching that told the story of being unseen. Every seam was a battle against self-doubt, but also a declaration of my voice. The day of the competition arrived at the Wichita Community Center. Backstage, I watched as my dress gleamed under the lights, nerves buzzing through me. The applause was electric, and though I didn't win, I received an honorable mention, and my name appeared in the local paper. Ms. Scott hugged me with pride, but the empty seats where my family should have been told their own story. A quick text from my mom about Brittany's latest triumph was all I got. That void fueled me, pushing me harder to prove I could shine without their validation. Energized by the experience, I launched an Instagram account for my designs, calling it Paige's Threads. My first post sketches and the dress from the competition went up nervously, but soon drew comments from classmates, strangers, even a boutique owner who admired my work. Each share felt like defiance against years of neglect. Evenings turned into photo sessions and edits, learning to capture the spirit of my creations. That little page became my outlet, a place where I wasn't invisible. As I explored further, Ms. Scott continued guiding me, offering advice on branding and reminding me to keep experimenting. At home, conversations stayed fixed on Brittany's achievements. Once I showed my mom a sketch, hoping for more than a glance. "That's nice," she said, eyes glued to her phone. The dismissal hurt, but it clarified something: my passion was mine alone, and I would build it with or without their approval. Looking back, those years shaped me. Ms. Scott's faith and the beginnings of Paige's Threads gave me a foundation, a way to claim space in a world that didn't see me. I was only at the start, but I knew one truth: I would never stop creating. Stepping into college felt like opening a new sketchbook full of possibility. I enrolled at Wichita State University, majoring in fashion design, determined to carve my own path. My days were filled with classes on textiles and pattern making, each lesson fueling my hunger to create. Outside the classroom, I poured myself into a small brand I had started online, born from late-night sketches. My Instagram, still modest but steadily growing, showcased bold designs that began to draw attention. Yet the silence from my parents lingered like a shadow, their attention fixed on Brittany's medical ambitions. To support myself, I worked part-time at a downtown boutique called Vogue Haven. The owner, Sophia Yang, sharp-witted and quick to recognize talent, became my mentor. She occasionally slipped my designs onto the shop's racks and urged me to refine my craft. Under her guidance, I learned the business side of fashion: inventory, customer trends, and marketing skills that transformed my hobby into something real. Many evenings I stayed at the boutique, sketching between customers' ideas, growing bolder with every sale. As my work improved, the brand gained traction. Posts began attracting strangers from across the country, and I started selling custom pieces online, each order a quiet victory. Sophia pushed me to aim higher, encouraging me to enter a national design competition hosted by a major fashion magazine. The challenge was daunting: create a collection inspired by personal struggle. I poured myself into it, designing garments that reflected my years of being overlooked. Each piece, from a flowing scarf to a structured jacket, told a story of resilience stitched with hope. The competition marked a turning point. In New York, for the finals, I presented my collection to a panel of industry experts. Standing on that stage, I felt exposed but alive, my work speaking louder than I ever could. The judges' praise was overwhelming. One described my designs as raw and authentic, words that stayed with me. Though I didn't win, placing in the top 5 earned me a magazine feature and a surge of new followers. Sophia threw a small celebration at the boutique, her pride a sharp contrast to my family's silence. I sent them the article, but no call or text ever came. Back in Wichita, I doubled down on my brand. The competition opened doors, boutiques reached out, online orders surged, and I balanced schoolwork and design with exhaustion, outweighed by ambition. Sophia became not just a mentor but a true friend, steady with advice and laughter. "You're building something real," she told me one night as we closed the shop. Her faith carried me through moments of doubt, especially when my parents' absence stung. Looking back, those years were a crucible. I learned to trust my vision to build without permission or approval. What began as a few sketches had become a rebellion, my proof that I mattered. Every stitch, every sale, every sleepless night was a step toward a future I would define. After college, I built a studio from scratch in Wichita. It was a cramped room above a coffee shop, just enough room for a machine, a mannequin, and ambition. I poured my savings into Paige's threads, turning my Instagram project into a real business. Days blurred together, designing, photographing, shipping. I stitched late into the night, creating pieces that felt bold, authentic, unapologetic. Followers grew steadily drawn to the story behind each creation. Each order, each note from a buyer reminded me I was moving forward. A year in, an email stopped me cold. Edward Reed, a local investor known for backing creative startups, wanted to meet. He'd seen my work online and was impressed by the traction. I was nervous, but Sophia prepped me, drilling my pitch until I could say it in my sleep. At the meeting, Edward was all business, asking about revenue growth and vision. I laid it out, my goal: to make Paige's threads a household name, blending Wichita's heart with high fashion. He listened, then leaned back with a nod. "You've got grit. Count me in." His investment gave me capital to hire a small team, upgrade equipment, and scale production. I felt unstoppable. With Edward's backing, Paige's threads soared. I partnered with influencers, launched a capsule collection, and placed pieces in local boutiques. Then came the big break. A major fashion brand offered a contract to feature my line in their national spring collection. It was the opportunity I'd dreamed of, a chance to put Wichita on the map. I spent weeks negotiating to protect my vision. When I finally signed, my hands trembled, not with fear, but pride. I posted a simple caption: "Dreams into reality." The response exploded, thousands of likes and shares pouring in. Amid the rush, I met Nathan Clark, an environmental engineer, grounded and kind, with a smile that softened my stress. We met at a community event where I showcased my work. He complimented, not with flattery, but genuine curiosity about my process. Conversations turned into coffee dates, then late nights sharing hopes and fears. Nathan saw beyond the work, he saw me. For the first time, I felt truly understood. Our relationship deepened quickly. Nathan became my anchor, celebrating wins and steadying me through setbacks. After a year, he proposed under the stars in a Wichita park. I said yes, heart overflowing. We planned a small engagement party, inviting my family in hopes they'd join. I sent invitations, even called to confirm. My mom replied curtly, "We'll try to make it." My dad stayed silent. My sister texted a vague congrats without committing. Deep down, I knew they wouldn't come. The engagement party was beautiful. Friends, Nathan's family, and Sophia filled the room with warmth. I wore a dress of my own design, ivory and soft like a promise to myself. Yet their absence lingered like a bruise. Nathan's parents toasted with pride. Mine, I later learned, were at a medical gala applauding her newest promotion. I pushed the hurt aside, holding Nathan's hand, but the sting remained. I threw myself into work, channeling the pain into creation. The contract launched and Paige's threads became recognizable. Magazines profiled me as a rising star from an unexpected city. I brought a copy to dinner at my parents' house, hoping for reaction. My dad flipped through, set it down with, "That's interesting," before asking Brittany about her hospital's new wing. My mom nodded, vaguely lost in her daughter's accolades. Their indifference felt like a locked door I couldn't open. Nathan and Sophia kept me grounded. Nathan cooked after long days at the studio listening as I vented. Sophia, now running marketing for the brand, reminded me, "You built this without them." She was fierce, and she was right. Still, part of me longed for their approval, a sign I'd truly arrived. As Paige's threads expanded, I learned to measure worth through my own work, not their silence. I was building a life I loved, surrounded by people who valued me. Meeting Nathan Clark felt like finding my true home. After years of being unseen, his steady presence gave me a sense of belonging I'd never known. We moved into a small apartment in Wichita, filling it with laughter and shared ambitions. My days revolved around Paige's threads, while Nathan balanced his engineering projects. His family embraced me instantly, their warmth a stark contrast to the cold distance of my own. His mother checked in with phone calls, his father shared stories over dinners, and for the first time I felt what family love truly meant. Planning our wedding was a whirlwind. I designed my gown, a flowing dress with intricate embroidery, a piece of my heart woven into fabric. We chose a simple garden venue with close friends and Nathan's family present. Still, I longed for my parents and sister to attend. I sent handwritten invitations and followed up with calls. My mom's response was clipped. "We're swamped with your sister's work." My dad stayed silent. My sister's text read, "Busy, but good luck." I stared at the message, stomach twisting, but refused to let their absence darken the joy. The wedding itself was perfect. I walked down the aisle, Nathan's eyes steady on mine, his smile grounding me. Sophia beamed as my maid of honor. Nathan's family cheered, their pride filling the air. Yet the empty seats reserved for my parents stung. Later, I learned they were at a medical conference celebrating my sister's keynote speech. I pushed the hurt aside, holding Nathan's hand as we vowed to build a life where I was enough. Life with Nathan was everything I had hoped for. We cooked together, him teasing my clumsy knife skills while I sketched designs at the kitchen table. His family became my anchor, including us in barbecues, holidays, and quiet evenings. His mother once pulled me aside and said, "You're our daughter now." Her words warmed me, though they couldn't erase the ache left by my own family's indifference. I'd still call my parents, hoping for connection, but their conversations always circled back to my sister's achievements. My work, my marriage, my life barely mentioned. Paige's threads kept growing, each collection carrying pieces of resilience and hope. Sophia, still my right hand, managed the brand's online presence, turning Instagram into a showcase of my journey. One milestone was a second contract with the national fashion brand, expanding my line into department stores. The post announcing it went viral, thousands of comments praising the rise from a small Wichita studio. I stared at the numbers, proud yet stunned, finally feeling like I had arrived. Then my phone rang. It was my sister. Her voice was sharp without warmth. "We need to talk," she said. "The family wants a meeting. It's important." My mind raced. We hadn't spoken in years beyond vague texts or an occasional like. Her tone carried an edge, as if my success somehow belonged to her. I pressed for details, but she deflected. "Just be there." She gave me a date and place, our parents' house in Wichita. My heart pounded with dread and curiosity. Nathan squeezed my hand, urging me to listen. Sophia, less convinced, warned me to be ready for anything. I agreed, though every instinct screamed caution. The timing of her call felt tied to my success, not me. Memories of my childhood, my wedding, every moment they'd ignored, rushed back. Why now? What did they want? Nathan promised to stand beside me, his calm strength steadying me. Sophia, ever protective, said, "Don't let them pull you back." Their support grounded me, but the unease lingered, a knot in my chest I couldn't untangle. As the meeting drew closer, I kept working, sketching designs to steady my nerves. Paige's threads was thriving, yet the scars of their silence remained. I didn't know what they planned to say or why they had reached out, but one thing was clear: I was no longer invisible. Whatever they wanted, I would face it on my terms. Facing my family again felt like stepping into a storm. The drive to my parents' house in Wichita was heavy with tension, Nathan's steady hand on mine the only thing keeping me grounded. I hadn't been back in years, not since their absence at my wedding. The familiar porch, once tied to childhood memories, now felt like a battleground. I drew in a deep breath, steeling myself. Sophia's warning echoed. Don't let them pull you back. I was here to confront the truth, not to yield. Inside, my parents sat rigid at the dining table while Brittany stood by the window, arms crossed. The air was brittle, stripped of warmth. My mother broke the silence first, gesturing to a magazine featuring my latest collection. You've done well, she said, voice clipped. My father added flatly, we saw your post about the contract. Neither word carried real praise. I waited, knowing this wasn't about congratulations. Brittany spoke next, her tone sharp. We're proud of you, but it's time to talk about family. My practice needs funding to expand, and Mom and Dad could use help with the house. The words landed like a blow. They weren't reaching out to reconnect, they wanted my success to fix their problems. Old wounds surged, the years of dismissal flooding back. Why now? I asked, my voice cold but steady. You ignored my milestones, my wedding, my life. Why should I step in now? My father shifted uncomfortably, hands clasped. We've always supported you, he claimed, though the lie hung heavy. My mother interjected defensively. We were focused on your sister's career. She's saving lives. Brittany's eyes narrowed. You've made it big, Paige. It's only fair to give back to the family that raised you. I laughed, bitter and sharp. Raised me. You barely noticed me. I was the shadow while you poured everything into her. I pointed at Brittany, my voice rising. My birthdays, competitions, even my wedding, you skipped them all. But now that my name's in print, you want to share? Silence filled the room. For the first time, I caught a flicker of guilt in my father's eyes, but it wasn't enough. I stood, hands trembling yet resolute. I built Paige's threads without you. Every stitch, every sale, every milestone was mine. I let the words hang before adding, and I've chosen what to do with that success. I'm donating most of my profits to a local charity for kids who deserve to be seen. My mother gasped, pressing a hand to her chest. You'd give to strangers over your own family? She asked, her disbelief sharp. Yes, I answered without flinching. They'll put it to better use than you would. Brittany's face twisted. You're selfish, Paige. After everything we've done. I cut her off. You did nothing but push me aside. I'm done carrying that weight. My gaze moved across each of them, my father's lowered eyes, my mother's tight mouth, my sister's glare. I've made my family, I said. Nathan, his parents. Sophia, they're the ones who show up. Walking out the door, closing behind me, I felt lighter. Nathan was waiting in the car, his quiet strength anchoring me. I told him everything as we drove away, words spilling fast. He squeezed my hand and said, You did the right thing. Back home, I called Sophia, who cheered without hesitation. You're free now, she told me, fierce with pride. I hung up and turned to my sketchbook, drawing a design inspired by this moment, bold, unapologetic mine. Paige's threads kept thriving, each collection reflecting the journey that shaped me. The charity partnership launched and I met the kids. It supported their smiles, reminding me why I'd chosen this path. My parents and sister never reached out again. Their silence was final but no longer painful. I had built a life that didn't need their approval, a legacy that mattered. Walking out of that house, I felt free for the first time. The weight of my family's expectations, their indifference, their demands, all of it fell away as I drove back to my life with Nathan. I had built something real, entirely mine, and I wasn't looking back. Wichita's streets seemed brighter, as if the city itself was cheering me on. My focus shifted to what mattered: my work, my husband, and the kids I'd promised to help. The past was closed, and I was ready to write my future. In the months that followed, news of my family's struggles reached me. Brittany's medical practice faltered, her expansion collapsing under financial strain. She had counted on my help, and without it, everything unraveled. My father took a part-time job at a hardware store, pride bruised as bills piled up. My mother began tutoring to cover the mortgage. I learned these updates through distant relatives, their voices laced with pity. I felt no triumph, only a quiet resolve. Their choices had led them here just as mine had led me elsewhere. Meanwhile, Paige's threads soared. My collections, now sold nationwide, told stories of resilience and hope. Each piece carried fragments of my journey from overlooked child to unstoppable woman. Sophia, still my fiercest ally, managed our expanding online presence, turning my brand into a movement. Together, we launched a new line inspired by the kids I met through charity work, bright, bold designs that celebrated their dreams. A portion of every sale funded art programs and scholarships, giving children the opportunities I once longed for. My work with the charity became the heart of my purpose. At community centers, I watched kids sketch their own designs, eyes alight with possibility. One girl, barely 10, showed me a dress she'd drawn, her hands shy, but her voice steady. "I want to be like you," she said. I knelt beside her, throat tight, and whispered, "You already are." Those moments grounded me, reminding me why I had chosen this path. The program grew, its impact rippling through Wichita, offering kids a chance to be seen and valued. Life with Nathan was my anchor. Our apartment, once modest, became a true home. We spent evenings cooking, planning a house of our own, maybe even children. His parents remained steadfast supporters, their warmth a constant reminder of what family could be. Nathan often came home from his projects, wrapping his arms around me as I sketched. "You're changing lives," he would say, his pride lifting me higher than any feature in a magazine. Sophia, too, was a pillar. She'd arrive with coffee and fresh ideas, pushing me to dream bigger. "You're not just a designer," she told me once, eyes fierce. "You're proof that anyone can rise above." Her words stayed with me, fueling my drive. Together, we organized a charity fashion show featuring designs by the kids we supported. The event drew crowds, local news, and even national blogs. Watching those children walk the runway, their faces radiant with pride, I felt a purpose deeper than success. My family's silence was complete. No calls, no messages, no attempts to reconnect. I didn't seek them either. The girl who once craved their approval was gone, replaced by a woman who knew her worth. Their path was theirs. Mine was mine. I wished them no harm, only distance. As I stood on stage at the charity show, looking out at the crowd, I saw Nathan, Sophia, and the kids I'd come to love. This was my family, my home. I had turned pain into purpose, rejection into strength. If I could leave one truth, it's this: your worth isn't defined by those who overlook you. It's in the choices you make, the lives you touch, the dreams you refuse to abandon. I was invisible once, but I built a world where I shine, and so can you.